person who started me on this, which is Ali Abdaal. He kept telling me you should do it. And that's when it started, the journey started. You're under scrutiny now over everything that you do. And I don't wear a hijab, and then you get a lot of comments about that. It almost got to a point where I thought I should probably stop doing this content because it gets to you. The hate gets to me still.
What's your approach to creating content?
I kind of knew it was monetizable, and I knew a lot of creators making millions from it. It went super viral to like 20 million views. Then the visibility was incredible after that, and the brand deals started coming in.
How do you deliver that to make sure that brand keeps paying you?
Creators still haven't been trained on how to be business owners. That time in the limelight is not promised forever for everybody. When you're selling, you're not just selling conversion, you're selling brand awareness. And we've always had this relationship of under promise and over deliver. And I fight brands on a day-to-day basis. It's for their benefit.
What are some of the other mistakes you see a lot of starter creators make?
What do we need to know about you to understand why you, as someone who graduated from both Cambridge and Oxford, chose to end up in content creation rather than biomedical science in the long term?
Oh, okay, we're starting light, I see. I would say, what do you want to need? I'm just someone who has learned over time that the amount of time and money and energy you spend in something is not a good enough reason for you to keep doing that. So I've learned to let go of things, even if I've spent a lot of time doing it, because there's no harm in exploration. And you can always take something from these things. It doesn't need to be the whole package of it. So, and I have always my whole life optimized for happiness. As long as something is making me happy, I'm okay. But if I see that the future ahead of it is not something that will feed my happiness, I stop to think of how to pivot.
Like staying in a relationship just because you've already been with them for 10 years.
Correct.
Right, okay, great.
So I guess you must have spent a lot of time studying for that career and then have at some point gone, actually no, and completely pivoted.
Yeah. I mean, I was in uni for 8 years.
Wow.
Do we even talk about the student loans? Or?
Well, I'm a foreign student, so, you know, you can only think about that. But no, I was also a nerd, which meant that most of it was scholarship. So I didn't have much to pay, and the rest, my dad was very generous. No, I did spend a long time at uni, but I absolutely loved it. And that's the reason I am where I am today, because of the experience that I got from uni.
So if somebody's never consumed any of your content, what is it about and who is it for?
Well, we actually did a very in-depth exercise last week to figure out actually our core conviction, what is the USP, the POV of the show. So I can tell you that the main message I'm trying to put out there through everything that I do, whether it's the podcast or anything else that we do through the other businesses, is that we want to make sure that where you come from doesn't limit where you can go. And that's what the message has always been. We started off thinking about how to help women from underrepresented backgrounds, girls who don't have access to education. And that has evolved now to people of color and now to just everyone. There are so many inequalities around the world. So the main thing is to make sure that where you come from does not become the shackles to your life. And we're just trying to change that mindset. And that's what we've been doing through the podcast mainly. Initially, the podcast started off as Dream Girl. And now we've just done a whole rebrand when now it's just called Dream with Dr. Sheen.
I did notice that when I searched Dream Girl and it didn't come up. Well, it did come up, but it was completely changed name. I was like, oh, I'm sure it's
a lot of
Dream
people
Girl.
panic. Like even our guy from Spotify was like, "Where's the show?" And he was like, "Oh, okay." Everyone thought I got hacked and it got deleted, but no, we've just gone through a rebrand. So yeah, does that answer your question? That was the second part to your question.
Yeah. Why would somebody listen to you?
I'm pretty great. I'm also really funny. No, I think why they would listen to me is because I come from Mauritius and I've had a very interesting life myself in the sense that I've tried everything under the sun. I was a nerd, went to Oxford, Cambridge, did science, then went into consulting, did business. I'm like a part-time professor. I teach at university. I've done AI startup, and now I'm doing this business in the creator economy. So I feel like I have enough lived experience where it makes me have almost like an intellectual side of curiosity where I can ask questions that nobody else is asking. So that makes me, I think, a unique host when I'm hosting people. And I have access to such incredible guests where I get to learn so much. And the podcast started off entirely from a selfish point of view, where I just wanted to learn from people, and I just wanted to invite these people, and it was a bonus that other people got to watch it. So that's why I think the platform that we have built over the years has become so powerful in terms of the community that we have built with it, but also the type of people that we can bring on to learn from.
And did you know when you was going into it and leaving consulting that this was going to be a lucrative business, or was it just like, hey, this makes me happy?
See, from a very early stage, I was very lucky because I was surrounded by creators who had already made it. And it was made very clear to me that at the beginning, you need to know, are you doing this as a hobby or are you doing this as a business? Because there are very different approaches to how you build the platforms. And at first I thought, no, I'm going to do this as a hobby because I want my big corporate life. I don't want to do this. I don't see much in the creator economy. I tried the consulting life, tried everything else on that side, and I realized this was not for me. And I told myself, let's try it. And I said, I'll invest my money, do like 10 episodes, a whole season, see what happens. And I was getting small brand deals when I was on like 10K. And it was already the first brand deal. I'm sure you know, the first time you get it, you're like, oh, they're actually going to pay me?
Yeah.
A little video.
It feels weird, right?
It was so weird. And I still remember I was on 10K on Instagram and this brand came to me. And I said, okay, I'll charge £1,000. And they said, okay. And I was like, oh, £1,000? I should have charged more.
The worst thing that can happen is they say yes straight away.
Right?
Oh, damn it.
But then I kind of knew it was monetizable, and I knew a lot of creators around me who had made it their main thing and making millions from it. So then I tried, and then after the 10th episode on the final reels we posted, it went super viral to like 20 million views. And then the visibility was incredible after that, and the brand deal started coming in. So I won't say that I gave it a shot. I gave it a shot after I tried it. I had kind of like a proof of concept that I was now getting money coming in that was pretty serious money. And I thought, okay, if I do it full time, it should be more money. So that's when I made the decision to go full time on it.
What was the clip that got you 20 million views?
Oh, it was me telling a story about Michelle Obama.
Okay.
Nice.
Do you want me to tell you the story?
Yeah. Let's redo the clip. We'll have the 20 million views this time.
You know the game.
Well, I would like to say, first of all, we don't know if it's true or not. Okay, and in that clip,
Allegedly.
I did not put that part in it. But basically, the story is back in the day when Barack Obama was president. They had a day where they were out and about, and lunch had not been planned in the schedule. So they had to find somewhere random. They found this really far away restaurant, and they closed down the whole place for them to go have lunch. They had a lovely lunch, beautiful place, great food. At the end of it, the chef asked to meet Michelle. So she went back to the kitchen to say hello to him, and then she came back and she was like, "You're not going to believe this. He's actually my high school boyfriend." And Barack said, "Imagine if your life turned out differently, you would have been the owner of this beautiful, quaint restaurant." And she said, "If my life turned out differently, he would have been the president of America."
That's clever.
So that's the story.
I can see why that done.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
What's the having worked now in a content business, not just with your own content, but I know you have podcast related businesses too, but also worked in science businesses, AI, very almost opposite in the type of content. It's very free, casual vibes, if you like, whereas something like that is super intellectual, very different. What are the biggest differences in those two types of businesses?
You know, you say that, but I think I'm tempted to disagree. I think the businesses are the same. We think of like the creator economy as being definitely it's more creative, but I think from a business owner point of view, from a founder point of view, it's the same, right? You're a plumber still trying to fix it every leak every day. Yeah. Something is going wrong everywhere. And I still think that the approach is the same in the sense that you're still managing a team, you're still trying to make revenue, you're still trying to cut down your costs, you're trying to find the most efficient system for your business. That's there either way. And I think when it comes to, as you were saying, the intellectual side of things with the AI and all of that, yes, that is true. But with the creative economy, some people will argue that being creative is a lot harder than being intellectual.
I'd agree.
Right? Because being creative, you can't force it. Being intellectual, you can learn and absorb as much information as you want, and someone can teach you something and you can make a better decision. But with being creative, it really depends. Are you creative as a person or not? Are you in the right zone to be creative right now or not? And because of that, I feel like it's pretty similar. But what is different is, I think, people's approach. In the tech world, when you meet tech founders, they are very clear on what they're doing. They believe in themselves, almost to a delusional point of view. But if you look at creators, I feel like they don't take themselves seriously as business owners. They just see this as, oh, I like creating content, I'm just making money on the side. And which is why now we're seeing more and more huge creators that are coming online saying that they're broke, right? Because now the brand deals have stopped, they are no longer relevant, and now they don't know what to do. A lot of them, I keep seeing people saying they're going back to the 9 to 5, which is pretty sad because that's not what they want to do. And that's because creators still haven't been trained on how to be business owners and how to make your money work for you while you're still in the limelight, because that time in the limelight is not promised forever for everybody.
It's just like 20 years ago is, what percentage of footballers went broke?
Right.
Because you think
Correct.
the brand deals are coming in, you think the big contracts are coming in, and then all of a sudden you get injured, or in our case, you're no longer trendy or relevant.
Yes.
And then suddenly nobody wants to pay you. We get it all the time where we work with some, really big creators, and you look on their YouTube and they've got 1 million, 2 million, 3 million subscribers because they were massive 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And they were getting 100,000 views a video. Now they're getting 5,000 views a video. And they're trying to command the same price as they were before. So it doesn't work like that, I'm afraid. So you're no longer relevant.
Right.
I can't say to them because they're a client, but you try and massage
You
it.
choose which offers you take them. Whereas you get a lot of creators now where subscribers and follower accounts less relevant now, and it's all about the views, right? Particularly on long form. So we'll work with YouTube channels that have got 50, 60, 70,000 subscribers, but they're getting hundreds of thousands of views per video. And those guys are often the best value to brands. And yeah, the brand might be getting a better deal with them, but because of that, the amount of opportunities they get, or the longer term deals, are so much better than those guys who are like, well, 10 years ago we charged this much and we've got this many subscribers. You can always tell when a creator's first pitch is, oh, we've got this many subscribers. It's like, yeah, but how many people are actually watching your content? Because they're so much harder to find opportunities for sponsorship opportunities that work. I don't know if you see that with the creators that you work with.
Listen, I feel like the one thing, as I mentioned, is I keep seeing people with a lot of followers who are struggling. And I still remember when I was at the start of going full time on the podcast, I met a podcaster who was further ahead of me at that time. And I remember she was like, you will never monetize your podcast. I've never done it in the past 5 years. And I was like, oh my God, like what? I'm trying to do this. And I was like, maybe that was a bad decision. But obviously now for us, sponsorship from the podcast is our main revenue by far. And I remember thinking then our experiences are very different because she has not managed to monetize her podcast, even though hers was having a lot more views than me at the time. So I also think it's a lot to do with positioning, right? A lot of people get the views, but how are you positioning yourself? It's so easy. Even in my own experience, you can really curate something and put it out there and it doesn't perform, but you can do something really like filming from your phone or something and it goes viral. But that doesn't mean that that's something that a brand wants to be associated with, right? You might have incredible views, but if that doesn't align with the brand values, with what the brand is trying to achieve, and if you're not attracting the audience that the brand is targeting, why will the brand pay you? And I think now, thank God, brands are starting to become a bit more intelligent in the sense of trying to filter who is a good creator for them to work with, because either they've bought their followers or not, or
That's really
there's
common in
so
this
much
region.
of that going on.
I know.
Yeah.
Of course. I fight it every day, right? Because someone be like, oh, but this person with twice your following is asking half your money. I was like, yeah, because they bought it. Like,
20,000 views, 3 comments.
When we speak to creators and they're like, we got these views, and I will say to them, I was like, how much do you pay? Like, how much is through ads? And they're like, oh, no. And I'm like, okay, show me your back end analysis.
let's see the boost.
And I had one guy who was like, no, I'm sure we haven't. I'm sure. I was like, well, it looks like it. He was like, let me confirm with the creative team, but I'm sure we haven't. I was like, okay. Got an email the next day. It's like, hello. Apparently we have been running ads. I was like, oh, what a surprise.
What a surprise.
So.
See, like we know now. When you look at it, you know. And I think that's why a lot of creators that are technically big, according to the old metrics that we were looking at, now they're struggling to make money. And it's kind of like justice almost, because it's like if your content is not performing, it's not engaging, you cannot take the leap just because you have bigger, flashier numbers.
Just breaking away from the episode quickly, because I have a question for you, Kane.
Okay.
What is your favourite thing in the world?
I can't say that on air.
Second favourite thing in the world?
Also can't say that on air.
Third?
Doing this podcast.
Oh, I'm glad. I'm really, really glad. But what is your least favourite thing about doing this podcast?
Production, editing.
Well, look, if you look at any of the top podcasters in the world, your Joe Rogans, your Steven Bartlett, your Chris Williamsons, any of these guys, they all have videographers, they have studios, they have people doing their copy, they probably have people polishing their shoes in the background, right? There is a tool, riverside.fm, which can do all of those things except polishing the shoes at an extremely high standard without the cost. It is the best video quality for any form of virtual recording. It also has AI tools to help you with things like show notes, titles, and even clipping up your episode into social media clips.
What's unbelievable is when you actually do the interview, whilst you're in the interview, it's already running. So as soon as you're finished, the social media clips are ready. You've got a transcript ready. You've got your titles done. And now it's a hosting site. So you can upload to Apple and Spotify directly from Riverside. So you only actually need one subscription to have a podcast.
That's a seriously good software, if you ask me. There is a link in the description. You'll get yourself 15% off, or you can just try it for free. And I'm even going to put a funky QR code on the screen.
You're going to.
Do you know why? Because I'm saving time on all the other stuff because I've got riverside.fm.
Well, back to the episode. We always say who, not how many.
Ooh.
You know, if you was walking around, let's say Dubai Marina, right? There's 200 yachts moored up. So if you had the audience of the 200 owners of those yachts, or you had 100,000, I don't know, 15-year-old gossipy podcast entertainment, it's like, which one are you going to make more money from? Mm-hmm. Right? It's who, not how many is what we try and stick by.
All of our sponsorship deals fit into one or two brackets, either brand that wants numbers, in which case we'll work with, say, like sports shows, that are cheap numbers, or high value, be it business or super niche.
Right.
And there's value in both, and it depends what brand wants what, but the way that we price and go about these campaigns is like completely different.
Yeah.
Because this one is who, not how many, and this one is just purely a numbers game.
Right. But do you find it easy to like convince brands to move into the second bucket?
Not always.
Either side.
You know what? You need the brands that haven't done podcast advertising before, we find. So we've done a bit with some insurance brands. One in particular, the very first deal we ever done. And it was, if you looked at it a CPM point of view, it was very expensive. But they done like a 16-week deal, and then they done an annual one. And we've just done a 2-year deal now where it's 6 figures a year, and the podcast gets less than 10,000 views per video.
Oh, wow.
And it's a 6-figure annual deal, but the brand are making that much money of it because of how perfect the audience is and the association with the host and the socials and the newsletter and all of this.
They're seeing the returns.
Exactly.
Right?
And it's the perfect example of what we try to do, which is build these long-term partnerships. But if I went to someone who's already done podcast advertising and pitched that, they would be like, no, because I can get way more views for the way less.
Yeah.
So it's almost like you need the brands that don't know it to actually trust in you.
Well, they're fresh.
To go, look, I know it looks expensive, but give
Trust
it a chance.
I'm really intrigued to get your approach to content. So clearly you've got a very analytical background.
Yeah.
I think you and I might be a bit more similar in that way because I don't look at content creation as very creative because I'm obsessed with all of our key metrics. Like every single day, it's like, what was our click-through rate on our latest videos? Like, change the thumbnail, change it again, change it. So I'm really intrigued to see like what's your approach to creating content from an analytical standpoint? Are you in the weeds? Are you in the data? Or are you like, this feels right?
Oh, no. You know, I'm very deep into the data. And I think the thing is, I would caveat this by saying that you need to have enough pieces of content out there first in order for the data to make any sense. Because if you're just like 10 episodes down, the data doesn't really tell you much. But at the stage that we're at 130 episodes down, obviously we can look at the data now. We should be looking at the data. And I think for me, for example, when I'm on YouTube, when I post the first episode that goes live every week on Monday, the minute it goes live, I'm out there watching it. I'm like, how far are you going? Okay, let me change the title. Let me change the thumbnail. Because that's the game you play on YouTube, right? And then I keep watching it for the first hour. It's very critical because I keep changing it until I'm happy with how it's performing. Because if it's not an 1 out of 10, for me, that's a fail. That episode is a fail. I need to see the little fireworks that happens. You know, the little confetti that they throw. Have you seen it?
I think I have, yeah.
I need to see it.
No, I haven't, because all of our uploads get worse and worse.
And I'm like, if it's not there, this episode is a flop. And so that's why I am in the numbers. And I think different platforms, the one thing I learned over time is different platforms, different metrics matter, right? So for example, right now, everyone was saying how Instagram for the reels, the shares matters a lot, but now it's changed to saves. Right? So the more saves you get, the more the algorithm pushes it. So now how do you engineer a content that has more saves as opposed to more shares, right? So it's a bit of like, how do you play the game? And for me, that's interesting because I love it. It's like you're reverse engineering the actual metrics of it. And so Instagram, you need to know it's not about the views as much. It's not about the likes as much. You need to push on the shares and the saves. But on YouTube, you need the retention, right? So the hook needs to be there. Something needs to appeal to them. It's all about the packaging, the thumbnail, the title. We've heard it so many times. So it's like, yes, to answer your question, I am deep in the data and we do reviews all the time. Every quarter, we sit down to look at what has been performing, what hasn't been performing. But on a day-to-day basis, I'm there every day on my studio app looking at the analytics, being like, oh, that did really well. That didn't. Delete it.
It's so consuming, but I'm addicted to it at this point.
It is, yeah.
Oh, man. I need a life.
And they keep making the dashboard a lot more intriguing as well.
Yeah.
You refresh it, you see there's a new pie chart, there's a new graph, and I'm like, yes.
Get caught up in it, right? On sponsorship, you mentioned that's your biggest revenue for the podcast, right? For a lot of people, that's not necessarily the case. Like you say, there'll be people with massive audiences that don't get the sponsorship. It might be because of their positioning. But also we see often a creator that will have sponsors, but they'll come along for a couple of episodes and then someone else for a couple of episodes, and they never have anything long-term and build these longer partnerships. I'm assuming if you're doing well with sponsorship, you've got some longer-term partnerships and you've had some successful ones. So once you've closed that sponsorship deal with someone, whether it's a test, whether it's something longer-term, how do you deliver that to make sure that brand keeps paying you?
So at the end of any contract, whether they've worked with us 1 episode, a season, 10 episodes, whatever it is, we create a deck of the performance for them. And we have a template. The first time was the hardest, and now we have it. We make sure we're very transparent. We share the screenshots of every analytics. We will kind of like write a little report. We'll share screenshots of the best comments and everything. So it's like they have a full view of where their money went, right? And obviously we don't have access to their back end. We don't know how much of conversion they got, but we can show from our end because, that's one thing with podcasts, which I'm sure you guys know very well, is when you're selling, you're not just selling conversion, you're selling brand awareness. I am showing so many people what you can do as a brand. Plus, I'm associating myself with your brand. So now it makes it difficult for me to now associate myself with your competitor tomorrow because I am now so well known to be associated with you. And that means that I don't have brand loyalty if I do go there. So there's a lot of that. So we try to build that image for them of like, you also got all of this. People recognizing you, people saying they want to try it, and all the views that they get. So we make sure to send that, and we send it before the brand asks. So then that's already like they feel like, oh, okay. And especially if you're dealing with a marketing manager, she's like, oh, thank God. I don't need to chase for the screenshots, And I think that already builds that relationship. And we've always had this relationship of under promise and over deliver, because if you a lot at the beginning, I'll say even I was guilty of this, where you will overpromise. You'll be like, I'll do anything you want me to do, just give me the brand deal. But now we've learned to manage expectations as well. We'll be like, okay, that's possible, but at this cost, or this is maybe not possible. This doesn't help you. And I fight brands on a day-to-day basis, okay? And I've reached a point where I feel like I might lose brands now, but I have to fight them. It's for their benefit. For example, when they tell you on a reel, they need you to mention the brand and they need the brand logo to be there. They need an end screen and they need the ad. Where's the part where the guest is talking in that 1 minute reel? Yeah. So you need to fight it because it will not convert to anything. We won't get the views. This will not perform. So there's a lot of that goes on. So I try to be patient with my clients and I sit with them and I explain from a point of view of like, you haven't done podcasts before. Let me walk you through it. And we also have the data to back it off, right? So we can show them this is how we worked before. This is how we performed. So this is how we build the relationship. But at the same time, to address your point of a lot of creators can't really work with brands again. That does happen in the podcasting world, right? For example, we do thematic series. So if I've done a series on, let's say, building wealth for women. So we've talked all about finances. But for the rest of the year, I can't do that again, right? I now need to move on to other themes. So it's very unlikely I will work with that brand again. But we do have brands that always come back. For example, when we do International Women's Day, it's always the same brand because we did it for the first time. When we do Emirati Women's Day, it's always the same brand. So that always happens. They come back. But I will say it's always leaving them with a very good taste, whatever the relationship was, but leaving them with the fact that they feel like you delivered without them having to chase you. Because
we see too many creators that are just like, oh, just give me the script, I'll do it, and that's it.
Correct.
And they don't care. And it's like, at the end of the day, and it also comes to pricing. We'll speak to people who price themselves so high. It's like, look, if you can be a bit more flexible, you're going to have more chance of getting something longer term, because your one episode deal where you've overcharged them is not going to get a renewal. Whereas if you do a bit more and you offer a better price and you can kind of over deliver, like you say, then that one episode becomes 10 episodes, becomes
correct
annual. But like the example I gave earlier. So
yeah,
I think a lot of creators need to realize that that's going to be make or break for them. Is how well they deliver on the brand deals, not just getting them. Because you don't want to just have 2 episode brand deals over and over and over again with all these different brands and nothing ever becomes anything.
Yeah, for sure.
It looks cheap to your audience, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Exactly. And then and also it's so much work for yourself every time to have to figure out how to
And you look
position
like a
a brand
sellout
again.
as well.
Yeah.
It's a different brand every time.
Yeah.
How about securing a brand deal? So you got one within 10 episodes of testing podcasting.
Yes.
Right, which is pretty rare. So was it luck? Was there something specific you did? Like if somebody's listening to this and they're going to go, all right, fine, Sheen says she did 10, I'll do 10 and see how it goes. What can they do in the next 10 weeks to try and get a brand deal?
Okay, I'm going to dismantle this question a little bit. I think that if it's the first time you're doing a show, bear in mind when I did the first 10 episodes, that was my 3rd season, right? I had gone on 2 years break, but I had been doing the podcast for 2 seasons already.
Okay.
I think that if you're starting out, focusing on getting monetized is it's a really bad approach to starting, because you need to build the community. You need to build the platform first for the sponsors to come on board. And don't get me wrong, I know there are loads of podcasts that before they start, they get sponsored, but that's usually either because there's a big company behind, there's a big name behind already, there's a big host, something is there.
There's a relationship existing.
Correct. But if you're someone who's new to this, I would say do your episodes first. Focus on there first. But let's say you've been doing the podcast for a while and now you're thinking about monetizing. Honestly, for me in the early days, it all came to me. Very lucky, right? So obviously we went viral to such a big level where we got eyes on us. And then immediately you start getting people who reach out asking how they can work with you. So that was something I can't really predict how it goes for other people. But now we've reached a stage where we do the outreach. So most of our biggest clients come from people that I have chased, right? And I think that came with proof of concept. So that's why you need to have a proof of concept of the identity of your show, the performance of your show, kind of like the trust that you've built with the community. Because at the end of the day, what are you selling to a brand? You're selling trust from the community and you're selling that attention from your community. So if you don't have these data already to show, what are you selling? And also then you already start losing the attention of the few people that are listening to you because you look like a sellout. So just foster that community for a bit first, then it comes. And that's an advice I got from creators in general, forget podcasters. They always tell me, try to be mainstream, get as many eyes as possible on you, because that's how the brands also notice you and come to you. So I would say focus on delivering, and then we try to monetize.
What?
Sorry,
Bless
I've
you.
been holding it in the whole time. Thanks.
That's right.
Sorry.
What creators had a big impact on you? So you've mentioned a few times you had creators around you, people who millions of followers doing very well. Who was it that had an impact on you?
Well, I'll give flowers to the person who started me on this, which is Ali Abdaal. I don't know if you know of him, but at the time we were roommates and he had just quit medicine because he reached 1 million on YouTube. It was COVID lockdown. I was writing up my PhD thesis and he kept telling me you should do it. I kind of like became a secondary character on his channel. So people started recognizing me. I started getting used to being in front of the camera. So then I did the podcast because he had all the equipment and he taught me how to do it. And that's when it started, the journey started. And I also saw behind the scenes of building a business around being a creator. And that really kind of like fast tracked me, I would say, along the way.
Nice.
Top tips on scaling your content business.
Find the right roommate.
Find a good roommate.
Nice.
You mentioned the business behind the content. Without going into specifics, what income streams do you have from the content you create now?
Okay, so from content itself, we have sponsors. Obviously, that comes in as a brand deal. We have AdSense from YouTube. And then we have sometimes, so in the past we used to do paid guests, but we've stopped doing that for many reasons.
You had some really bad ones like
Correct.
that. It was like, I can't believe I'm interviewing you right now.
It's always bad, and you're like, why am I sacrificing the quality? You know, it's never worth it
Put
at
the
this
audience
point.
first,
Right, put the audience first always. And then I get paid to host other people. I get paid to moderate panels. I get paid to speak. What else do we do? And then we have a podcast academy, right? So then we branched out. So these are like direct from content, and then indirect, you have the podcast studios that we've opened. We have a podcast academy where we teach people how to do podcasting. And I think that's pretty much it.
Tell it.
Oh, yeah. And we have another service, which is the podcast management service. So we help brands start their own podcasts.
Great. Oh, that must be a pain in the ass. No, you don't have to say anything.
No,
you don't have to say anything.
No, it's not. I love my clients.
Here's some red tape. Crack on.
Yeah.
No, here's the red flag.
Yeah.
And figure out how to work around it.
Yeah, and make it go viral in 2 episodes. Then.
Yeah. With a host that's never spoken on camera.
Yeah, exactly. We're very big advocates for brands should sponsor podcasts, not start them.
Yeah.
And I guess it's easy to say that as a sponsorship agency, but like we also do consult with people to start podcasts, and every time someone comes to us, like, I want to start a branded podcast, we're like, either start it as personal brand podcast within a company, or sponsor someone else, because you're going to spend all of this money, you have to put all this time into it. You're better off just paying to leverage someone else's trust. Look at this creator over here who's already got the tens of thousands of people you want to get in front of. Partner with them, and it's going to be a hell of a lot cheaper, and you're going to get results a hell of a lot quicker. But they still go, we'll start a branded podcast.
But at the end of the day, it's a lot of founders and CEOs that are also doing it for their own personal brand, right? That's why they want it on their own page.
When it's the founders and CEOs, but when they're like, we'll get the interns hosted.
Yeah.
That's when I'm like, doesn't matter. You're right, carry on.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, then they say how much they're paying. So I tell you what, it's the best idea I've ever had.
You're like, you know what? Bring all of the interns.
Yeah, it's fine.
Tell us about the Podcast Academy.
Okay, so the Podcast Academy started 2 years ago, and it's because I kept getting a lot of messages from people telling me, this is where I am on my journey, this is what I'm struggling with, some people are struggling to start, and I kept meeting people as well, and all the questions were the same, and I was like, listen, it's impossible for me to sit down and reply to everybody, and also, this is a good monetization route, I won't lie about it. So I was like, okay, let's try and build a course. So we built it, and I was thinking, who do I target? Do I target people who've already started, people who haven't started? And I thought, you know what? Let's target everybody. So then we packaged it in different things. So we start, if you haven't started a podcast yet, if you've started but you're struggling to grow, or if you're growing but you're not monetizing, or if like you don't know where to go. So it's for everybody, whatever you want. It's there, and it's a pre-recorded one. And depending on which package you get, some of it comes with coaching from me as well. But it's honestly, it's incredible, because every time I get on calls with the people who buy the academy, you're like, oh, wow, they're so diverse as well. One of them is doing one literally on like crimes, right?
Nice.
Which is so fun.
Yeah.
I wish I could be doing that. One of them is doing it entirely on targeting teachers in America. And you would think, oh, very niche, right?
We've spent 5 times a year we go back to the UK and we run events, in-person events, teach people how to start their own podcast. We get about 30 people each one. Every time you can guarantee there's going to be a crazy idea. You've got health and safety. You've got the UK mining industry. You've got how to start a business for dog trainers. You've got honestly, but the most niche ones are also the most successful usually.
They are. That's the thing. This teacher's one, she's getting so many views, and I was like, I didn't know this many people relate to this topic. It's so
and the
unique.
sponsors will pay more because it's specific as well.
It's specific, and you know exactly what brands you're going for. You know exactly who your audience is, and I was like, that's pretty clever. But no, it's great to see so many people do it, but you also see the same pattern repeat, which is everyone gives up very easily after like 10 episodes because I haven't gone viral yet. So, and I think people are they don't have a lot of patience when it comes to growing, and they think because they see others like me after hundreds of episodes and they think, oh, that's easy, let's do it. And then in the first 10, they're like, nah, it's not happening.
I always like to use Chris Williamson as the example on that, because he basically did 500 episodes of just fucking around and then figured it out. And everyone's like,
talk to people.
Yeah, it's like him and Joe Rogan are really interesting, because it's like if you copy either of them, you won't get anywhere.
You won't.
But it's just like sheer persistence and not caring about the outcome. Eventually, it got somewhere. It was like, I'm not doing 500 episodes for nothing. It's like, there's no chance.
But it's also early movers advantage, right? They did it at a time where podcasting was not a thing. Like, you can't replicate a lot of things because of timing.
That's very true.
If I had a penny for every person who said, I want to be the ex Steven Bartlett, or the
that's it.
female Steven Bartlett,
Yeah.
or and on these training courses we do, and I'm just like, my question is usually, why is anybody going to listen to you interview interesting people rather than him who's got better guests, he's a better host, and he's got better production? And usually that. Find a reason to be unique. You're not going to just be another person interviewing interesting people.
And the question I got recently was, why would someone listen to you interviewing the same guest as Steven Bartlett interviewing the same guest? Why would they listen to you instead? And I was like, oh, that makes me think, what is my USP?
But
Is that where last week's session came from? All hands immediately.
Just panic.
What are some of the other mistakes you see a lot of starter creators make?
Okay, so we've already covered one, which is people focus on making money without having proof of concept. That's definitely one. Second one is being very impatient and trying to do it as quickly as possible. Third one is what you've basically covered, which is trying to copy someone, right? And I think it's good to have a North Star. It's definitely good to think, I like that style. I like maybe this kind of guest, and I like this format, this structure. It's good to know. But you can't just want to copy someone who's already out there, right? You don't bring anything new. And I think people are not clear on what are they doing. What, like, are you a host? Do you want to be the one speaking? Do you want to have a co-host? What is going on here? Be very clear on what is someone gaining from your podcast, right? Because a lot of times you think, oh, I found this person interesting. Great, let me chat to them. But is anyone else going to find interest from this? If you're trying to build a podcast, you need to know exactly what is the value you're giving to people and who is the person you're speaking to in the audience. And I think a lot of times we think, I want to be global, I want to be big, I want everybody to listen to me, which is great. Inshallah, it happens. But in the early days, you need to be very clear on who is your target person. And I did the exercise of picturing the exact person I was talking to in terms of their age, where they come from, their ethnicity, what are they scared of, what do they love, where do they spend their money, where do they live, everything to a T. And I'm like, okay, that's the person I'm speaking to. So is this guest appealing to them or not? Maybe yes, maybe no. What are the questions they would have for this guest? And that's exactly how you niche down to blow up, right? Because now you're targeting a very specific person with very specific pain points or very specific points of entertainment for them. So that's how you attract the right niche audience. You become big in the niche, and then you blow up.
What does the word brand mean to you?
Oh, God. What does the word brand mean to me? I've never thought about this. You tell me, what does brand mean to you? Give me an example.
Your ability to add a zero to a price. The reason I ask is because everybody says, I want to build my personal brand, I want to build my personal brand. And as you said a second ago, your North Star.
Yeah.
But then if I want to build a brand, but I don't know what brand means, how are you supposed to do it? If you go, oh, I want to build a house, you go, well, I clearly know what a house is. I need these bricks, I need these materials. So I'm really intrigued when people say, I want X, but they can't actually identify what that is.
I'll give you my perspective on brand. I think your brand is what people describe you as when you're not there. So it's like, oh, who is Sheen? Oh, she does this. If I'm talking to someone else and describing, oh, that person you interviewed, who are they? And then it's how I describe you then. I feel like that's your brand, is how someone describes you when you're not there.
Yeah, I would say that your brand is probably your recognition, right? It's almost, as you said, like the introduction of yours that comes into the room before you do, right? So it's almost like, what are you known for? And the thing is, a lot of people think they can't control that. They think that the brand it just happens. But if you look at all the successful people, everybody has engineered their brand to a T. Like, even if you think about Steven Bartlett, he really worked on that brand. He thinks of every little details, which is why we all have the same perception of him, right? Because it's been engineered that way. And I do think that it's the reputation of yours that goes into a room before you get it.
And how does somebody build their brand? Not go viral, not get a brand deal. How does somebody build their brand?
You need to be clear on who you are first, right?
I can't unpack that. Sounds terrifying.
They won't do it anyway.
Yeah, like, didn't want personal branding anyway. No, it's important to know who you are. And you know, one thing I realized, so I used to teach at university, and one thing I realized is that nobody knows what their personal values are. And we all think, oh yeah, I have values in life. Okay, what are your values? What is a non-negotiable for you? What is a red line? And what are some of the things that you like, but it's okay if others don't? And obviously we have the universal values, don't kill somebody, sure. But what about everything else? And it's like, because we don't know who we are, there is so much overwhelm around us, right? At all times, our senses are being overwhelmed. You're always watching something, hearing something, talking to somebody, listening to music. Do you know that apparently there's like less than 5% of people can go on a walk without listening to something? Because we are all scared to be with our own thoughts now. We don't want to face... This has turned into therapy.
That's why guys start a podcast.
You just tricked him to give us a therapy.
It's because we are all scared of that mirror, right? We don't want to see it. But if you're trying to build a brand, forget like an online brand, right? Your personal brand. If you're trying to build that, you need to know who you are, what do you stand for, and what do you want to be known for, right? And a lot of people think, some people might just be happy with being known to have a great job and being like, a big CEO of a big company. Great, that's your brand. That's what you need to be working on. How do I build, climb that ladder, get there, become the CEO? But if you have a mission in life, you're more kind of like purpose driven, you need to know what the purpose is and what is the shortest way of getting there, and how do I get there as quick as possible, and how then do I put that into action? But at the end of the day, it's all about who you are. And again, going back to the North Star, you need to have a North Star in life. You need to know, where am I going? It doesn't matter how you get there, the journey will change. Even look at me, right? I've been so it's like, you never know what path you will take, but the direction needs to be there. You can go a little bit tangential at times, but at the end of the day, you need to know what's your direction, and that direction is purely driven by who you are, what drives you, and what do you value in life.
What are your values that you want to be known for?
So I'm all about equality. I think that's the main thing that I have always been yapping around, which is, it doesn't matter what's your gender, where you come from, what's your social status. All of this should not matter. What should matter is how much hard work you do and how much do you want something, right? And there is always an element of luck. But even that, I feel now, having been doing this for years, I feel like even luck is engineered, right? Because you can increase the surface area for something to happen to you by putting out more work, right? And a lot of people will tell you that nothing beats hard work. Like, you need to work so hard that the universe has no option other than to give you what you want. And I think that's the best way to look at this. And that's what I want people to know. I want them to know that where you come from doesn't stop where you have to go. And it's okay. Yes, definitely. It means that your life might be a little bit harder. You might need to work a bit harder than everyone else, but it's possible. And if I manage to, kind of like make a little change in that world, in that mindset, where I see that now it's becoming, for example, I never want to hear the word imposter syndrome ever again in my life. And if I see that all of these things are changing a little bit, I would feel like I've done something right.
What don't you like about imposter syndrome?
Do you feel imposter syndrome? Have you ever felt it?
No.
Okay. Have you ever felt imposter syndrome?
I think so.
Really?
When first moving here to Dubai.
Okay. Why did you feel like an imposter?
It's going to get deep now, for God's
sake. It's therapy. We've decided to do therapy.
Session,
yeah.
I don't know. As a very new entrepreneur taking a big leap, surrounded by people that are far more successful, I was like, do I deserve to be here?
And were these people born like successful entrepreneurs, or did they also have a journey?
No,
were they at your stage at some point?
Everyone's had their journey. Right?
Okay. So were they imposters when they are at your
likely
point?
Yeah, I'm not complaining.
Listen, I'll tell you a story. I'm glad that you haven't experienced it. But the reason I hate imposter syndrome is because I feel like if the term didn't exist, none of us would feel it. Okay. It's because you have a term to attach to the feeling that you have, which is probably just a little bit scared. You're just a little bit scared of trying something new. You feel a little bit like this is all big, but you don't feel like an imposter. Right? Exactly. And it's just comparison, right? And it's not imposter syndrome, but because we have the term, it's really shitty. I'll tell you the story. Do you know who Reshma Saujani is?
No.
She is this woman behind Girls Who Code. She's incredible. She did a speech at, I think it was Harvard, and she told this story about bicycle face. Have you heard this story before?
No.
So back in the day, you know, before we had a bicycle, we had a motorcycle, right? And then at the time, people had carriages with horses, and that's how they were getting around. And it was very inconvenient for women to move around. So when the first bicycle came about, it was life-changing. All the women could now just hop on their bike and just cycle away. And that was a bit of a problem for society back then, because women were starting to meet to decide that they should probably be allowed to vote. So then it was like, how do we limit movement of women? So they published in a medical journal that there is a new disease targeting women called bicycle face, which is that, you know, you become a little bit flushed, your hair gets pulled back, and, you know, it just all the descriptions of what someone will look like after they've ridden a bike, which is not a disease in any way. So all the women got super scared about it and they stopped riding their bikes. And she says that the bicycle face of yesterday is today's imposter syndrome. And you know, the first time a woman became a doctor officially in America and she was registered in the medical council, the first thing she did was to disprove bicycle face, saying this is not real. And she's saying that her life journey is to disprove imposter syndrome. And I think that's exactly it, right? We've been fed this narrative of imposter syndrome, that this is something that you can feel when you enter something new, that now all of us feel like, oh, this is exactly what I'm feeling. It's imposter syndrome, but it's not. It's just the usual, a little bit stressed, a little bit scared, a little bit anxious about how this is going to go, but you don't feel like an imposter. And because you're lucky, you're a white man, I'm not even going to feel sorry for you. But,
Can't argue that, fair.
But if you think about, you know, women who are already entering a space where there's no one like them already there. Now, if they feel like an imposter, it's a lot heavier for them to carry throughout. Mm-hmm. But if they didn't know this existed, they'd be like, oh, I just feel a little bit different to everyone else. Yeah. So that's why I think we should not have this.
I think it's a really good way of looking at it. And when I think of my experience of what I said was imposter syndrome, it's something I've looked back on and be like, oh, I have experienced that. But at the time, it was how I dealt with that. And if I'm seeing all these successful people, and I spent a lot of time going on coffee meetings, meeting all these people, but that first feeling of like, oh, they're younger than me, they're doing better than me, or whatever it was, it's then channeling that into the right way to be like, cool, see it as inspiration or as motivation
Correct.
to work harder. And I feel like over the time, like I accepted how it felt being in those situations and used it to my advantage. So, okay, cool. How can I build a relationship with this person?
Correct.
So I don't even look at it as a negative thing. Like there was negative emotions attached or negative feelings, but actually using it for the greater good or to help us. And now I don't feel like an imposter here at all.
Exactly.
So those have been good experiences, but I know exactly what you mean. Imposter syndrome is not the only one. There's all sorts of things where people, because they've heard someone else say it, they think, oh, I've got that, or like, oh, I struggle with this because it has a label, right?
Correct. See, he's nailed therapy already.
Yeah,
he's fine.
You completed therapy.
Completed therapy, my first session. That's a first. That
It's taken me 6 years to sort this out. You've done it in 20 minutes.
Thank you. Quick one. Your content is very, very culturally conscious.
Right.
Right? How does creating, because the content I've created forever isn't really, I've never had a focus on culture at all. So I wonder how content differs when there's a large cultural focus. Is it the way you deliver it, do you have to be more conscious about how you say things, or like how you dress, or like these sort of things?
When you say culture, are you referring to my Islamic content?
No, it could be Islamic content. It can be where you're targeting women versus men versus different colours versus whatever.
I would say that we are quite culture agnostic because we welcome everyone from every sphere of life, and we've never really tried to do it from a lens of culture at all. But I do a lot of content kind of like demystifying Islam, right? And that's been quite the challenge for us because as you said, like the way you carry yourself, and you're under scrutiny now over everything that you do. And I don't wear a hijab, and then you get a lot of comments about that. So it almost got to a point where I thought I should probably stop doing this content because it gets to you. The hate gets to me still, and I don't like seeing the hate. Even this morning, I was telling my team, I don't want to look at the comment section because it just bothers me now, so I just don't look at it. And then I started looking, and Julian was like, don't look, it's okay, just don't look.
Delete quick.
And it's because, so then that's the problem, right? It's like whenever you're trying to talk about something that people have very strong feelings about, you have to expect both sides are going to get in, right? You get the people who are very supportive and the people who are very anti. And I don't want to let the negative people win at the end of the day. I don't want that to stop me from helping people who are taking value from the content. And there was 1 Billion Summit, and I get recognized a lot And the people there are all coming about the Islamic content. They're all telling me how this changed their life. Oh, wow. This one girl started crying, telling me that this really helped her dealing with grief when her mom died. And you think that I never thought that this is where my content is going. That's not the kind of impact I ever envisioned for myself. But if I can help someone navigate grief, I can help someone feel a little bit better about their lives on a day-to-day basis, that is something I should do at the expense of a little bit of hate on their side. So yeah, you have to be careful. And now obviously everything else I do is under scrutiny. Like whatever I post on my stories, whatever I support, whatever I wear, whatever brands you're posting, you do get a lot more scrutiny. And I think you kind of need a thick skin for it. I don't have one, so I'm trying to build it.
Leave me alone, please.
I'm trying to build it. But you also, the thing I love about the internet as well is you always have your own little warriors as well fighting your fights in the comment section. And I love when I see a thread of 47 replies, I was like, okay, let me see how far did we go? And it's nice to see them fighting for you. And it's like, okay, you know, you're building your little corner of the internet. Obviously, people will disagree with you. And, you know, well, what is the saying? You're not pizza. Not everybody will like you. So it's okay.
Well, on your point of building a personal brand is sharing your values or what you want to be known for. It's like, you can't have a value without a trade-off.
Right.
So, you know, like you said, like, don't murder people. It's like, yeah, fine. Like, everyone shares that value. It's like,
I hope so.
It's not, well, yeah. It's not a personal one unless there is an opposite and trade-off. Like I was listening to a podcast that was talking about company values. So like the very famous one in Facebook was move fast and break things.
Right.
It's like, cool, if you want your team to move fast, you have to be okay with the trade-off of mistakes will be made.
Correct.
So I guess on the internet, we're not used to this fast feedback loop. It's like, if this is my value, there'll be probably half the planet that disagrees with it.
At least,
and
yes.
you know, and it's like, it feels like more sometimes. It's like, but that's the price you pay.
Especially with something like religion, where people are so strongly opinionated about it, right?
It's polarizing, right?
Exactly.
So
I guess you've got to accept that for you to be able to help those people and get that feedback, you're going to have the opposite too.
Yeah.
You can sit in the middle and not help anyone, but then no one dislikes you.
Correct.
Yeah. Nobody sees you either.
Nobody sees you because no one
Yeah.
wants that content.
And also, you're definitely doing something wrong if everybody likes you. That means that you don't stand for anything in life.
You're not big enough. What do your haters get right about you?
Nothing, please. Oh, wait. Maybe one thing, I am a little bit full of myself. Maybe that.
No.
Maybe the ego. No, I don't think they get anything right about me. I think I get triggered by a lot of things, which probably comes from the fact that it might be something I feel about myself, right?
Because we've heard that a few people have said to us that hate only gets to you if it's true.
Oh, if it's true to you, right? If you also think the same thing about yourself, but it might not be true. For example, for a very long time, the one hate comment that would get to me was when people would be like, oh, I still very vividly remember this specific comment where she said, imagine being her parents and sending her to Oxford and Cambridge for her to now have mediocre conversation online. And I was like...
It was worse that your mum sent it to you.
I mean, I sent it to my dad and he replied, lol. And I was like, that's not
Such a dad
I was looking for.
Thumbs up.
And that got to me because for a very long time, I struggle with that identity. I did feel like, am I now choosing something less serious? Like there's not that much of like, you know, status associated with what I'm doing now. I've left that Oxford Cambridge behind, but I've never left it behind. It's part of me. I've made my peace with it. I've also nail therapy. So
Nice. 130 episodes, yeah.
So I think that because of that, that doesn't bother me anymore. But it used to bother me because I thought this was true for myself as well.
I feel that. Without using the words consistency or authenticity, what advice would you give to creators that are just starting off?
Be clear on why you're starting. What are you trying to achieve? And again, going back to that question, is it a hobby or are you trying to build a business around it? If it's a hobby, do whatever, go crazy, do what suits you, do what you love. If it's a business, be a little bit more targeted into your approach and look at the data, look at the people's reaction, try to build it in a very systematic way. And just be yourself.
Don't say be authentic. Okay, be yourself.
No, but also don't try to copy someone else. Definitely take inspiration from others and see what you like and what you don't like about what other people do or what you could do differently. But it needs to be unique to who you are, in the sense that it needs to bring your lived experience into it, or you need to be able to do something that is not out there yet. You know, it can't just be copying everyone else. It needs to be different. And of course, like, if whatever reason is driving you, remind yourself of that, because it is hard to stick to it in the early days. And I relate to that. I took a 2 years break. So, you know, it just remind yourself, why are you doing this? And this is why I need to stick to it.
We spoke to Michael Smoke, Higher Up Wellness, on this podcast, and he said authenticity, but another one he said was vulnerability, which I feel like is a really good one to be your vulnerable self.
See, I don't know about that. I feel like it works for some people for sure, and it's good to be vulnerable, but it depends what industry you're in, or what niche are you talking about. And I think vulnerability takes different forms. Let's say you're doing a finance podcast. You're not going to be vulnerable about your relationship or all of this, right? You are being open about your finances, but it's not really vulnerability. And also, depending on what kind of content you're trying to create, sometimes I don't want vulnerability from that creator. I want honesty, and I want you to look like you know what you're doing. But because vulnerability might also lose your credibility a little bit. It might look like, oh, maybe they're a bit confused. So it really depends on what community you're trying to build. Then vulnerability comes in different phases.
This is really interesting, because I reckon there's a huge cultural difference. So he's American.
Yeah.
And
what does vulnerability even mean to them? I
guess, right, you have to define it. Like, for myself, I think vulnerability is anytime you express something that can be judged.
Right.
Right? And I think that's like a fairly vanilla definition, right? But my assumption is, in this region, the Middle East, vulnerability is probably not as good to portray in your content.
Correct.
Whereas in America, it seems like a great thing. Like, they cheer people who've been who've gone bankrupt. Like, they're very like, well done for trying. They love failure. They love counseling, whatever. It's like, I feel like vulnerability is like a great thing. And what we discussed in that episode is like people weaponizing it. Certain content creators, because they're like,
of course, that's the whole concept.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like farming. It's like, whereas here, again, assumption, I may be wrong, I've only been here years, like, I don't think that would help us.
If we were targeting this audience.
Agree. Again, it depends on what niche, right? Again, if you're trying to talk about business, entrepreneurship, money, whatever it is, if you're giving advice from a place of credibility, if you're showing, but again, vulnerability from your basic definition of it, that's fine. You can say something that will get you backlash or something. But if it's something, I don't know, like let's say you say, I'm against, royalty. I think it needs to be a government. Like, you can't, there are things that you can't say, right? And is that vulnerability? It's not. That's just strong opinions that you have, right? It's not vulnerability. And you going and saying things like, oh, I don't know, I don't believe in crypto, is not really vulnerability. That's just a strong opinion. Yeah. But vulnerability comes from you sharing something that is now open for judgment to people, but that's something personal to you. Yeah. And that is, think about it from that sense. When you went to school, would you want your teacher to be vulnerable with you? You wouldn't. No. Would you want them to come and tell you, oh, I was in a really terrible relationship, I didn't leave? You will lose respect a little bit for them. Yeah. But you need that person to be from a place of authority for you to learn from them. So it's the same thing. It's like, if you want to learn from somebody, you need to respect them. And some things of their lives you don't need to know. But for example, if you're trying to learn, take money advice from someone who went bankrupt in the past, that's good, because you know that this person learned everything the worst way possible, and now they know how to avoid that. So there are different ways of kind of like playing it out, I think.
I think when we were talking about the imposter syndrome thing, that's a good example of it. Where you asked me, and I was quite vulnerable in my response. That was vulnerable, yeah. Right? But I don't think that would have any negative connotations. No. People are like, a year ago he felt like this. I think less of him now.
But that's also relatable, right? It's something that most people will feel as well. So unfortunately, there are certain things that are safe for you to do, and that's why we do it, right? Which is like vulnerability to a certain extent. But also, you don't want to be vulnerable to a point where now you are victim to like the judgment online, and it bothers you and it impacts your work, So there's a lot of that.
Well, Sheen, thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.